Hey, gaybros.
Hey, gaybros Jose.
Where are we today?
Today we are in the Castro, as if there has never been a pandemic. We're at a gay bar, and it's a little loud, but this is the brand that we've established.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Is that now dive bars are back, and we are back at 10. So, it's what we do right now. And the bar is actually called Todd Hall, and we are in the back patio, and hopefully people are not going to be screaming as they are right now for the whole duration of this podcast.
And I will say that Toad Hall has the cheapest drinks in the Castro. It's buy one, get one free on weekdays, or it used to be at least.
Oh, yeah. I remember those pictures that we had from 4 or 5 years ago that we had 4 or 6 drinks.
You'd be wasted at 6 p.m.
Yep, those were the days. But yeah, just talking about what did we watch today?
So this week was your pick.
No, it was your pick.
This week was my pick, and I picked the very first film that Charlie Kaufman wrote and directed.
Both things, yeah.
We've watched 2 of the other films he directed.
No, we only watched, I'm thinking of ending things. We didn't watch Anomalisa. I went to the cinema to watch that one.
Oh, that's right. He wrote and directed that. So this is the first film he wrote and directed. It has a fantastic cast. I saw it when it came out in movie theaters. I wanted you to watch it for a long time, so I picked it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Now, the only city part is that now I have to talk about what this movie
Please
is
give me a synopsis. Tell me.
Okay. This movie is centered in the Phillip Seymour Hoffman character, Caden, I think that is his name, that he's a middle-aged theater director, that he's married to a famous painter, and they have a daughter.
Catherine Keener
from Being John Malkovich.
Yes, and the daughter, I don't know if you recognized her, but it's the same daughter from Little Children.
Oh my god, that's weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so they actually they have a marriage that clearly is not happy. He's always thinking that he's going to die for everything that is happening.
Yeah, he's a total hypochondriac. He
Yep.
thinks he sees blood in his stool. He thinks he's dying.
Yep. And the thing is that the doctor doesn't give them any kind of definitive answer either. And he is planning, he actually, the play that he's doing is the death of a salesman. But he actually, oh my god, groundbreaking, he changed the age of the actors for young people to make it even more shocking instead of just older people. So he gets a grant, a Mac something. What's it called?
MacArthur Genius Grant.
The MacArthur Genius Grant to actually just puts a theater play out, and he starts just getting completely out of hands about what he wants to do. So
the scale gets bigger
Yeah.
and bigger and
Yeah.
gets larger than life.
Yeah,
It's
it
insane.
gets larger than life and basically turns into a Michel Gondry's Bachelorette's video clip, and it's basically turns into life inside life inside life. So we see how he starts just trying to make a depiction of everyone's life inside of a warehouse in a decrepit post-apocalyptic dystopian New York,
Including his own. He writes himself, his partner.
Yeah, and then he actually finds that keeping a replacement for himself. At the same time, his wife moves to Berlin, and he loses track of them. The daughter suddenly becomes popular because she has some tattoos. She's the flower girl because for 10 years she has tattoos all over her body with
and
flowers.
She becomes a lesbian that only speaks German.
Yep. And actually he's in an affair with one of the childhood friends that they
Maria.
have. Yeah, Maria.
Yep.
So it's everything becomes weirder and weirder, and almost everything feels like a vignette about this is a live vignette of this is weird and trying to synthesize the life of someone pretty quickly. He has some kind of affair with the ticket box girl from the initial theater, and this girl actually buys a house that is literally on fire. And she starts having a romantic relationship with the guy that lives in the basement, Derek.
Yep. Which is the real estate agent's son.
Yeah. Is that everything is weird. And then when he actually chooses who's going to be playing him, he chooses someone that has been stalking him for 20 years and knows everything about him. But he also has an affair with the one that plays Hazel's, that it was the ticket box lady. everything is bizarre. I don't think, and then basically they find someone to play the cleaning lady that he was for a while of his ex-wife apartment in New York, he chooses someone that is like, oh, she looks like someone from the paintings of my wife.
The mother of his child.
I love that actress, actually. See, that's like amazing. She's not in many scenes, but it's like, she's disturbing. She's disturbing in the kind of way that you expect her to be. And she becomes the god that he was trying to be. He basically was like playing to be god, like directing all these stories. He creates like basically a mini New York inside of this warehouse, that then you have another warehouse inside of it, that there's another mini New York, and there are like several layers of it. And then at the end is like basically everyone starts like dying or leaving, you know. And this cleaning lady that he hired, she becomes him as the director of the play, and she starts like just giving them like orders through a microphone or whatever. I love the last scene, I had to say. The last scene
was
nice.
Like it was better than I remembered, to be honest.
Yeah, that part is that the emotional payoff. I think that this is better than it was.
No, you're wrong. So I think you did a great synopsis, and I want to highlight the scene that you talked about where Samantha Morton, the actress, she plays his love interest and she goes to buy this house, but the house is literally on fire, and they discuss it. She's like, well, I want this house, it's so beautiful.
It's on fire.
But it's on fire, I don't know that I want to die here, and I feel like that underscores how insane this film is, and I love it. I think you and I both very much enjoy the mind of Charlie Kaufman, and I love that this is the first film he directed, and he clearly had no guide rails. The studio was like, just make whatever you want.
No, he was crazy. It's pretty clear that he has some kind of idea, but it's like the first part of the movie feels like one thing, and then when he started with this theater play, it goes insane.
Yeah.
I've never seen a script like just going so much out of hand. And it's like, what? There were like just points that I had to stop for a second. Okay, this is like the second version of this character, and this character was supposed to be this, that it was like, oh my god. So basically the first hour of the movie is just an introduction for the insanity that he's going to go, like the spiral that he's going into in the second part. I just felt it. I loved it, but it was one of the craziest things that I ever seen in cinema.
So it's hard to put this into words, but so he's writing this piece, and at some point he writes himself and his love interest into the play. And then moving forward, he writes another of himself that's beneath the characters he wrote.
Yep.
Like, I hate the term meta. I think millennials use it way too
there
much.
There are like 4 layers of
but
meta
this
here.
is like, it's so fucking meta, and...
Well, I mean, also you think adaptation. He's like pretty keen to do meta stuff.
Yes, but this is like adaptation on crack. Like, this is like, the studio gave him, what, probably $10 million, $20 million?
The production value of this is like way higher than actually thinking of anything.
And they said, take this money and do whatever the fuck you want. And I think the movie isn't great, but I think we get this very pure look into Charlie Kaufman's mind. And that's what I value so much about this, is like, yeah, sometimes it's slow, sometimes the plot doesn't make sense, but there are these unique, beautiful ideas everywhere that like are unique to him.
Yeah, no one is capable of doing this. Yeah. No one is actually just capable of writing this and making it. I'm not going to say like making sense, but I would say that it's like just making it enjoyable to watch.
And I love that we recently watched I'm Thinking of Ending Things, because he's a scriptwriter first and foremost, and he's brilliant at it. As a director, he's growing. So you can see this is his first piece, and it's so big, and it's so complicated, and it's too much, in my opinion. You can't have that many ideas that aren't developed. But you see his progression into I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and he's starting to understand direction and how to tell a story outside of a script.
Yeah.
I like this movie. I liked it a lot, and the cast is so incredible.
Yeah.
And to see Phillip Seymour Hoffman is very bittersweet. You know, he's gone, and to remember his talent, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And Catherine Keener and his therapist. My God, his therapist was incredible.
Didn't you feel actually? I mean, a part of me was thinking, okay, this is great, but it's like clearly you watch Bachelorette probably like 50 times, because when he's with the book and he's like, oh yeah, now I get like to you and you touch my leg, but you actually just pull yourself away, and he's like, and then this book ends. He's like, oh yeah, there are no more pages. This is over. This one is straight from Bachelorette.
It's interesting because I thought a lot more about In Treatment And
in treatment.
yeah, did you see the series?
Yeah.
And you could tell the therapist and the clients wanted to fuck, but they never could. And Charlie Kaufman was like, no, let's have them fuck.
Yep.
Let's see where it goes.
Well, I mean, the other thing that is interesting is that everyone is in love with Kaden. Is that he's surrounded by female characters that all of them they want to do some kind of move.
They all think he's a genius, which is very like exposing of Charlie Kaufman knows he's a genius, and he.
Well, but I mean, the thing that is hilarious here is that he's a genius only because he did The Death of a Salesman with young people. It's hilarious. He's like, oh, when actually the father, you know, when they have like the opening night or the second night, you know, and the father and the mother are there.
Yeah.
And they're just talking about it, and they're like, but I thought that they were supposed to be older. It's like, no, that's the transgressive part of this play. No, they're younger. It's, that's not transgressive. That's just stupid. So I felt like there's a bit of a critique about like feeling. I think that I wrote you yesterday. It's like I feel like Charles Kaufman wants you to make you feel inadequate.
I agree with you, and I also think this is kind of a complaint that people don't understand his genius, which I think is real. Like, he has something, I don't know if it's genius, but it's above and beyond what is normal.
Yeah.
And I think he feels like he should get a MacArthur grant, and he should be able to do whatever he wants. But
He already did. This movie is MacArthur grant, honestly. But I mean, it's true that for him, the secret of the characters is a character. It's like basically the movie is not about like, you know, like what happens on the screen. It's like the secret of the characters, you know. And I felt honestly, like I felt at the end is I felt like just should this be positive, negative? I don't know how I feel right now. You know, I feel almost like when I was the first time being John Malkovich, and I felt it's like I can see parts that they are positive, and I can see parts that they are like almost designed to make me feel like garbage. I mean, this one is like it's about everyone's story. You know, it's what he actually says. Like this theater piece is about everyone. There are no extras. Everyone has like a life. Everyone has a story. And
everyone is a main character. Is what he says.
There are no extras. But then actually, Millicent, that is the cleaning lady.
Yeah.
He's like just she's almost like just saying like you don't matter because you actually remove everything from your life. And it's like, what is your importance when no one knows you? Is that what is your, I don't know, what is like the kind of legacy that you leave when you actually push everyone away and the ones that they love you is that they don't care about you or they just are there.
And I can't help but wonder, is that how he feels about himself? Because you haven't seen Anomalisa, but it's also about a man.
Oh yeah, no, I did. I went to the cinema to watch it,
So he can't connect, and he clearly feels like there are these interesting characters in his life, and he pushes them away.
Well, but the thing with Anomalisa, I think that it's a bit more about like just being like so self-involved. Like you think that you are the only person that sounds different in that world.
But that's exactly Phillip Seymour Hoffman's character. He has a wife and a daughter, and he can't stop telling his wife about the tragedy in the news and that he has blood in his stool. Like he never can like show interest in anyone but himself.
Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, it's true that he is pretty self-involved, but I was saying adaptation. I mean, he's not really self-involved, but he's like just insecure about his talents.
Yeah, but adaptation had the benefit of having a director being like, okay, you're going too much here,
let's control this. Yeah.
And
being John Malkovich is true that it's about someone that is like, I'm really good about what I do, but I'm never going to be like the best one in the world.
And I have to say, so there are very few pairings of like a director and a muse, and Ingmar Bergman had the most perfect muses. I think Uma Thurman and Quentin Tarantino, it's perfect. But Catherine Keener and Charlie Kaufman, they were like born to make fucked up films together. It's so amazing watching her.
Did he do more than these two?
I mean, being John Malkovich, I mean, he wrote the
he's
script.
actually an adaptation too in a couple of his scenes.
Yeah, that's right.
Because playing the character, playing herself. Yeah. That was so super meta. I love that movie.
This was an interesting experience. Again, I had seen it before, you had not. I hadn't seen it since it was in theaters, so I was very curious to see my reaction this time. I will say that I liked it more than I did the first time.
How did you feel at the end? Did you feel like optimistic? A bit like down?
I felt a little bit down. I felt like I felt like what he was trying to say is that you can have genius, but that's not going to make your life. And ultimately, everything he tried to do was a failure in the film. So yeah, it left me a little bit sad, but also this time I had an appreciation for, you're a genius. So maybe things turn out sad, but it doesn't matter because you contributed to the world in this way.
Well, I have a feeling that he's always going to be like looking down on himself.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, he's a downer of his own life. It's that you don't need anyone else to tell you that. You can have like these incredible premises, but you're always going to be Phillip Seymour Hoffman, you're always going to be like Nicolas Cage, you're always going to be, what is the name of the guy that I hate from being John Malkovich, that has no talent, John Cusack? It's like, or the janitor, I'm thinking of ending things, it's like, you think that there is nothing about you.
Well, if you think about adaptation, like, there's a genius scriptwriter that doesn't get the recognition he deserves, so he creates a twin brother that writes the shittiest script ever, and everybody loves it. That's genuinely what I feel. Charlie Kaufman thinks that he's Nicolas Cage, and nobody appreciates him. Like, that's a common thing.
No, well, I mean, I think... No, honestly, I think that we could rewatch that movie again. I love the movie. The more that I watch it, the more that I think that it's amazing. That it's like genius, like 100% genius. But I think that the Nicolas Cage part there is like just trying to make like the dichotomy of Hollywood, like trying to make something cool and good, but at the same time that we don't want to risk too much.
Yeah,
you know?
no, it
so
can't be too out there.
Exactly. Like, we cannot go too crazy. And honestly, the part about like the quotes when they're like describing the movie about like, so there is this horse, a scene when they're like chasing. I love that part of it. And they're the same person. How does that work? And it's like, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
You know, doesn't matter. That's the thing. Is like that's the thing. That is like with this movie, is like, it's impossible not to think.
So how would you compare this film to Anomalisa and I'm Thinking of Ending Things?
I was thinking about it, and I think that I'm thinking of Ending Things is a bit more of a small movie comparison.
Of what?
It's a smaller movie. You know, because even when we actually see that, okay, the second part of Synechdoche, New York is about this crazy theater play. The first part of the movie was preparing us for that. It was actually doing the same. It was like every single character, there are no extras. That is scene with the house on fire is about just showing you like who is Hazel, you know. Everyone is like, actually it's not an extra, it's like everyone has like their own life, they have like their own kind of premises, they have like insecurities that they always they display. They don't feel like a one sentence definition character, you know. And they're like, what about if we do this like with the whole world? There is a point that it says that there are like 13 million people in this world. It's like, no, it's not in this world, it's in this warehouse. And then you're going to have like a lesser amount on this and a lesser in this next warehouses. So I just felt like this tried to be a movie about the world, about humanity. And it's insane. When you were thinking about like, I'm thinking of ending things, it's about like just the feeling of I wasted my life because I didn't choose the right choices. And Anomalisa is a bit more about like, hey, I'm an asshole, and I'm going to be like falling in love with someone, and then I'm going to be like dumping them when they sound like anyone else.
So I'm going to say something that contradicts what I said earlier. I do think he's growing as a director, 100%. But when I watched this, I was like, this guy knows how to fucking direct.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to edit his content. There was too much here for it to be successful. And after Anomalisa and after I'm Thinking of Ending Things, that's what he's learning. But in terms of pure direction, he knows exactly how to build tension, to build sexual tension or terror. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. I actually had to say that I think that this movie is better directed than Anomalisa, and I think it offended things.
I can see that. I would disagree with I'm Thinking of Ending Things. I think that shows he's reached a level.
Well, but I think that is that the part is that the script there is like way more self-contained. So like just being more self-contained is easier to direct. Is that you only have like 5 characters. You know, it's like Toni Collette, the husband that is like the guy from Naked. No?
Yeah.
The weird guy from Friday Night Lights, the girl that I don't remember the name, and then the janitor. It's 5 people.
But that's what I'm saying is he learns scale. Like with Synechdoche, New York, the scale is mind-boggling and too much for a film.
Well, but that's the thing is that's the part that I feel is that this is so bold No, I'm not saying that it succeeds on the involved, about like what is their expectations, because I don't even know what expectations are. Yeah, but I don't think too many directors or screenplay writers trying to do something as insane as this.
I would agree. No.
And at least ending up with a result that is it's good. This is good. It's not perfect, but it's good. But there is no way of making this perfect because it's an insanity.
It is. It's like I said before. It's a look into his mind, and his mind is a lot, and it's beautiful and it's crazy, and I want to see more of it. But it's a lot, and he tried to put everything into this film, and it works most of the time. And some other times you're like, he should have had an editor.
Yeah, and because at the end is that there are like so many topics, but at the same time is because he tries to just portray all of the topics that as a humanity we can have. But he's not like just writing about like, you just discovered that you're gay, you just discovered that you have cancer, you just cheated, you were like just cheated by your husband. When he was like all the notes, he's like, you're just playing to be good, you're just playing to be the screenplay writer for everyone and just trying to display the lie. But like, instead of just being about like a small subset of people, you're doing the wall directly.
And I have to say that the scene that I found the most endearing is where he, after 17 or 20 years, he finds his daughter that Catherine Keener took away, and she's dying. And the girl no longer speaks English, she only speaks German, so they're speaking through translators. And she said, I can't forgive you because you haven't asked for forgiveness. And he said, I don't have anything to have forgiveness for. And she's like, no. Because you wanted to have anal sex with your homosexual lover. And he just repeats it, and I'm like, it was so disturbing to me to watch that happen.
But he does that all the time. He's like, people, you remember like the Hazel, that the first time when they actually kiss, he said, I want you to beg me to kiss you. I don't want that. Like, he actually does it. It's like he's just basically at the mercy of the screenplay that other people write for him.
Yep. There's so much to unpack. There's so much. We could dive into layer after layer after layer because there's so much in this film. But ultimately, we have to judge it as like a product, a film product. So I'm super curious to hear what you actually think about the film in terms of scoring.
Okay, no, that's completely fair. I mean, I have to say that it's like thank you so much for bringing it up, because it was like one of those movies that I always had in my queue about like, I had to watch this. And I felt like, one day, because I heard like pretty bad things about it, that it was not as good as that. It's not that it's not as good, it's just that it's insane. It's just that no one has done anything of this scale ever of complexity. It's like you can just throw more characters, but it's like it's not about like throwing more characters. It's about more like the secret of these characters, the kind of relationships that they have, the kind of fears, the kind of insecurities, the kind of inadequacies that they have, and then they actually add another layer into it. I mean, it just made me think about the only time that I saw something like this, it was Seinfeld.
Which episode?
Seinfeld, it gets to a point when they sell the concept of their lives to NBC for making a show, and they start interacting with the actors that they play themselves.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. But in this case,
exactly the same thing.
That part is the same. But in this case, it's a bit more of a character study about like we don't interact with them, we only observe them, how they actually interact with each other, and then they have like one more layer, and they keep going. It's like it's crazy. It's a bit more like Charlie Kaufman just gets an idea and he's like, I'm going to make it harder.
We're going to repeat this over and over and over and over.
You know that there is one more movie that we have to rewatch.
Which
that
is?
The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
I would happily rewatch that at any time.
With Kate Winslet?
Oh, she is one person that makes me question how gay I am because I want her.
Like Angelina Jolie. And then you see Henry Cavill and you say, no, I'm gay. I'm fine, thank you.
No.
So should we go over the questions?
Let's do the questions. So, Jose, would you watch this film again?
Yes, not tonight, not tomorrow, not next week, but yes, I will watch it again.
I would absolutely watch it again. It's been a long time since I saw it the first time, and I found it just as fascinating this time as well.
Yeah.
Would you recommend this?
Whoa, that's a hard one. I would say yes. I mean, if I wouldn't recommend it, I don't think that I would actually just post it on Instagram about it.
Which you did.
I did. Like 4 stories back to back. But I just felt like, look, this is a movie that is interesting to watch because not so much out there like this, on this scale. But at the same time, I'm not going to say that it's a easy movie to watch or enjoy.
I would absolutely recommend it, but to a very discerning audience, somebody that I know is open to experimental film, because this is very experimental.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I would recommend it.
But it doesn't feel like that. I mean, the production value, it doesn't feel like the experimental.
No, but the house being on fire and everything being so absurd, like, you have to understand, you have to suspend disbelief
Yeah.
from the second you start the film, and that takes a specific sort of person.
Yeah.
So, next question is, would you remember this?
Yes, the premise, I think that I will remember it, about just being like a theater play inside a theater play inside life.
So again, I haven't seen this since it was in theaters, and I remembered a lot about it. There are many details, there are so many details I had forgotten, but yes, this is a memorable film.
Yeah.
Is there anything artistic about this?
I think so. I think that it's what I was telling you earlier. It's like I think that the visual language here is decent. I think that he was trying to imitate a bit Spike Lee in his style.
Okay.
And because when you actually think about and thinking of ending things, it's way cleaner and a bit more like analytical. And in this way, it's a bit more raw and more felt, a bit more like just close-ups of the characters when they're in the house at the beginning. And then it goes like crazy, but it's still like just pretty close. It's a bit more about like just getting. It feels more like being John Malkovich than I'm thinking of anything else.
I agree with you, and I would say it's a perfect mix. Whereas being John Malkovich is it's very funny. I'm thinking of it ending things as very dark, and this is like the where they meet. It's very dark, but it's funny, and it makes me think way more than either of those films.
So, random question: did you know about the name of the character, the meaning that it has, Kaden?
No.
So I was watching in a Prime Video, and they have notes, and they actually mentioned that there is a Kaden syndrome about like people that they think that they are dead or they don't matter to the world.
That doesn't surprise me. Everything has a meaning in these films. Everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they actually mentioned multiple times about like you are dead already.
Wow. That makes me like the film even more.
No, it's a smart script, but it is way too much.
It's too much, yeah. So that takes me to the next question. Is it a timeless piece?
Yes, I think so. I don't think that there is anything that it could improve or get worse with time because of where it was shot.
Yeah, I think the questions that they try to examine, it's all very timeless. It's like, am I alive? Am I dead? What do the people in my life mean? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Would you turn this into a TV show?
No.
Nope.
There is no way to actually turn this into more content. It's already like 3 hours. I just feel it's what I told you earlier. The first half feels like really different from the rest, but it's a bit more of a preparation. That is like, I was doing this with you, audience. This was like the first layer, and now you're seeing the second layer.
Yeah, I think if you were to take this from whatever time it ran and built it out to 12 hours, it would be a fucking nightmare. Like, there's no way this would be ingestible. No way.
No, it's already hard to follow as it is. Is that there is no reason for just making it harder.
Last question before we rate. Do you think this could have been better?
I think that this could have been different, but I don't know if better. It's like just keeping that premise is fucking hard. It's like I think that it could have been different, like just making it instead of 2 hours and a half or 2 hours 10 minutes, is like just making it 90 minutes. But I don't think that the insanity that it happens in the last 40 minutes or 1 hour, when Hazel dies and then replay, there is like also like once again like going back to adaptation, what he feels is like I'm doing this as heartfelt as it happened, and then they actually put like Millicent to just direct it as him, and he actually does this kind of Hollywood like everyone crying and then it rains, and I was like, that's way better. It's like, but it's not what it happened. And at the beginning, it's like, I want to do something that feels truthful. It's like, no, at the end, it's not about like truthful. At the end, it's about like enjoyable. I felt it's like, you could have made something different, but I don't know if it would have been better. I don't think that you can make this better.
So I wrote down maybe for you. Are you saying no?
I say no. I think that is no. It's a thing that is something that is like, if you change something here, it would turn into a different movie, and that doesn't mean that it will be better.
So I'm also saying no because I like this unfiltered view into his mind, but ultimately I think the answer is yes. If he had an editor and said focus on these 5 things, it could have been a better film, but I would never ask to change this ever.
But the thing is, like, for just making like more focus, I don't think that it's only about the editing. I think that it's about the script.
Yeah, that's true.
Another thing that you can actually just change, if you change the script here, it's no longer a Charlie Kaufman piece. So I mean, I think that it's like one of those things, like with Aaron Sorkin, that is like, look, there are parts of Aaron Sorkin that I think that they are enjoyable.
Ow.
I'm going to say this because maybe I already had like too much alcohol. But then you take all the morality bullshit that he likes to do, that is like, and just misogynist, that you can notice. You cannot remove one thing from the other. You can have like someone that is not misogynist and have like this morality superiority, but it won't be Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah, so my answer is, again, no. But I agree with you. There could be some tweaks, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I really wouldn't.
That's fair.
So now it comes time to score. This was my pick, so you have to score first.
So can you tell me what did I score? I'm thinking of ending things.
If I can find it. Yes, you gave it a 7.5.
I think this is better. This is an 8 for me.
Alright.
Because I think that this is like a complete genius insanity.
Yep, that's my score as well. I was thinking there's no way I can give this a 7.5 because this is better than most films. It's not like a home run, but it's good. And this is better than I'm thinking of anything. So.
Yep. I mean, I think that it is a lot from the visual language that they used to have, in the 90s. And he's still learning, but I think that he's more like not learning from the perspective of directing or a screenplay. It's about like just making movies without someone telling him you cannot do that. He's like just becoming his own father.
I completely agree.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm curious to see a little like where he goes next, because he actually the next 2 movies that he did, they're like significantly narrower in scope. So it's like I wonder where he can actually just go next.
Do you know if he has anything coming out?
I don't think so, but at least he didn't announce anything. And honestly, I'm surprised about all the casting. It has been incredible. About like how the acting is.
The cast is fantastic.
Yeah.
Director, well, 4.
No,
nope, he has nothing coming out.
I mean, I'm thinking of ending this was like fairly recent, so let's see. Honestly, I'm astonished. It's like once again, it's like I think that this is the best screenwriter that there is right now. There is no one capable of doing something like so brainiac as this guy does.
I was super impressed with this film. It's not perfect, but it's good.
Oh yeah.
You should
really
watch
good.
this film. Anyone
Yeah. So, as this was your pick, I think that I had to pick the next one.
Yep.
And as I'm leaving next week, I wanted to just like discuss this movie face to face. That it has been like a thread, like a recurring thread from us. So we're going to be like going back to Pedro Almodovar, and we're going to be watching Volver.
All right. I mean, you're gonna get upset when you hear my opinion, but
well, maybe you will watch it and you will like it more this time. Who knows?
That's fair.
And to those listening to us,
wash your hands.
Okay. Bye.